On a train ride to school, Makoto Ito, a first-year high school student, takes notice of Kotonoha Katsura, an attractive schoolmate. Infatuated with but unable to approach her, he sets his cell phone wallpaper with her photograph as a charm, content with watching her from afar. During the rearrangement of the homeroom, Sekai Sayanji, his new desk partner, notices the picture and offers to help get the two of them together. Through her, they become friends, and it is shortly after that Makoto confesses to Kotonoha. That afternoon, waiting for her at a train stop with Sekai, Makoto thanks her for helping him, offering whatever he can in return. As the train pulls in, Sekai turns to kiss him on the lips, skipping into an open passenger car and bidding the dumbstruck boy luck with his new girlfriend. Later, Makoto takes Kotonoha on an awkward first date through town, an outing that ends uncomfortably when he tries to kiss her. Sekai gets word of this and coaches Makoto about his behavior in school the next day by setting him up with movie tickets for a date with Kotonoha. Things worsen in the theater the following afternoon, however, something Sekai insists is a result of him moving too fast. She persuades Makoto to apologize to Kotonoha. He tries catching her before a council meeting and arranges to see her after school at the train stop. Kotonoha deliberately tries to avoid going and is coached by Sekai as well, as the two sit at a playground and discuss the state of the relationship. Convinced of Makoto's good intentions, Kotonoha meets him at the train stop, planting a kiss on his lips. During lunch break the next day, Kotonoha tells Makoto that her little sister, Kokoro, would like to meet him sometime, an invitation he gladly accepts. On the train ride home together that evening, Kotonoha appears troubled, rushing out of her stop even after Makoto comforts her. She takes the bus over the train to school the following morning and remains quiet up until lunch, where she meets Makoto on the roof and invites him to visit on Sunday. The two of them spend a fun time with Kokoro, and it is only afterward that Kotonoha reveals what has been bothering her. She would like for them to address each other by their first names. Makoto agrees and after sharing a quick laugh, leaves for home. That night back at his apartment, Makoto calls Sekai about the date, telling her that being around Kotonoha is boring. Later, Sekai approaches Makoto at school about his comment from the previous night, though he is unable to explain himself to her. That afternoon, Makoto and Kotonoha make out in secret on the roof, an activity that is cut short when he gropes her chest. She calls Sekai that night to discuss what happened and is assured that Makoto is, once again, moving too fast. The following morning, pulling him out of class, Sekai gets the truth out of Makoto. He would like the relationship to become sexual. She offers to teach him about intimacy and mood by bringing Makoto to a park, karaoke, and scandalously, to the roof of the school where she allows him to fondle and strip her. Leaving for home, Makoto bumps into Kotonoha, who invites him to visit a newly opened water park with her. Afterward, Makoto and Kotonoha are accompanied to the water park by Sekai and their friends including Setsuna, Hikari, and Tazuke. Everyone except Makoto seems to have an enjoyable time. In spite of Kotonoha's noticeably more affectionate behavior towards him, Makoto's mood about her and their relationship does not improve. Sekai notices this and, pulling him aside on their way out of the park, firmly reminds him that both of them are no more than friends. Makoto ponders her words carefully as evening draws in and the group returns home. Unable to accept things how they are, he rushes back to see her. Sekai returns to the station to meet him, plagued with a mixed conscience, but ultimately reciprocates. Later that night, having returned to her apartment, the two have sex. In the days following their night together, Makoto and Sekai begin regularly seeing each other. It isn't long before she begins to feel remorse and urges Makoto to reveal their affair to Kotonoha, especially when he begins to dissociate from and lie to her. That evening, returning home on a train, Kotonoha catches sight of Sekai and Makoto kissing, a sight she believes was mistaken. With school festival preparations underway, Kotonoha texts Makoto a couple of days later at school that a committee meeting will conflict with their usual lunch break, a chance he promptly uses to be with Sekai. Kotonoha is unexpectedly let out early, however, and rushes excitedly to meet Makoto on the roof. As her hand graces the doorknob of the entrance, though, the sound of Sekai's confession stops her in her tracks. Later, Makoto's class begins to prepare for the upcoming festival, during which time Setsuna, convinced he is now dating Sekai, tells the group that he and Kotonoha split. She continues throughout the week, keeping Kotonoha away from Makoto, even adding her number to his phone's blocked list, an effort he begins to question. Sekai gets word of this change of heart, suspecting that Makoto is falling back in love with Kotonoha, a situation that worsens when Kotonoha pays an unexpected visit to his apartment that night. He unblocks her number, and despite her showing clear signs of denial, makes an empty promise to dance with her at the festival. Overcome with emotion, Sekai excuses herself from his apartment, happening upon Kotonoha, who gives her a resounding slap to the face. The next day, Sekai is absent from class. After keeping Makoto from walking home with Kotonoha, Setsuna convinces him to visit her. Despite Sekai's concerns about the effects of their relationship, Makoto maintains that he prefers her over Kotonoha. The day of the festival arrives and everything is in full swing. An effort to pull customers to the Roots Cafe leaves their hallway in disrepair, leaving Makoto and Setsuna to fetch supplies. It is during this time that she makes a revelation to him that she will be moving to France soon. She thinks back to when she first met Makoto, how he comforted her when she was picked on and encouraged to join the student council. Later, enveloped with feelings, Setsuna leans down and kisses a sleeping Makoto on the lips, much to the shock of Kotonoha. So Kotonoha talks to Setsuna about the kiss and the effects it would have on Shikai if she found out. The festival continues the next day with Makoto, Shikai, and Hikari making baked goods for their classroom cafe. Teisuke goes to fetch more supplies and finds Kotonoha, who he suggests is no longer Makoto's girlfriend, something she firmly denies. Makoto goes on break and is approached by Otome Kato, a friend of his from middle school, who he tours the festival with. Shikai breaks them up, and after seeing that he's missed 20 texts from Kotonoha, rushes to see her. Otome catches and drags him to a secret lounge instead, where the two have sex. That night, while Makoto dances with Shikai around the festival bonfire, Teisuke takes advantage of Kotonoha while she is still in shock from seeing Makoto dancing with Shikai. The next morning, the school begins cleaning up. Setsuna is unconvinced that he is split with Kotonoha, leading him to tell Kotonoha that he does not like her anymore when she encounters them. By evening, Makoto has gone missing and Setsuna finds him in gym storage having sex with Otome again. Setsuna visits his apartment that night, demanding that he break ties with everyone but Shikai, offering to have sex with him in return. The following afternoon, the girls' basketball team hosts a video screening, where footage of couples having sex in the secret lounge is played. Shikai is shocked to find that Makoto is there with Otome and angrily tries to call him. She bumps into Kotonoha, who alludes that Setsuna is with him. As a result, Shikai begins missing school, devastated that Setsuna has left and that Makoto is unfaithful. It is revealed that night that Hikari has also begun sleeping with him. The following night, after falling nauseous and throwing up, Shikai concludes that she is pregnant. She visits Makoto at school the next day and proclaims it in class. The news spreads quickly, and in response, all of Makoto's contacts begin cutting him off. Shikai visits his apartment to cook, making sure that he realizes that she is carrying his child. Makoto goes out for a walk and is found by Kotonoha, who he finds emotionally broken. Her empty condition is too much for him to bear, and in a fit of emotion, he breaks down, embracing her in tears and apologizing. Life returns to her eyes, and with a smile, she hugs him back. Afterward, Makoto and Kotonoha walk together until Makoto notices his cold hands. He tries to warm them until Kotonoha suddenly places his hands over her chest, startling him. Meanwhile, Shikai waits for Makoto to come home and calls him, but he is with Kotonoha in a fancy restaurant. He refuses to come home by telling her that he has something to do. Shikai realizes his deceit and then asks him if he is with another girl. Makoto tries to deny it but fails. Shikai pleads to Makoto that he should take responsibility as she's carrying her child. When Makoto mentions Kotonoha to Shikai, the latter realizes that he's with Kotonoha and tries to ask about it. Makoto, infuriated, blames her for getting pregnant and telling him in front of the class. Shikai tries to explain but is cut off by Makoto, who tells Shikai to go home and stop acting like his girlfriend. He then hangs up, causing Shikai to presumably shove off the dinner that she had made for them. The distraught Shikai is heading home when she notices a train passing by, with Makoto and Kotonoha on board, so she hurries back to Makoto's apartment. Meanwhile, at his apartment, Makoto goes to prepare some tea for Kotonoha until he notices the mess Shikai left behind. As he cleans, Makoto ponders if it was his selfish desires that have caused his current problem. The doorbell rings, and he's about to answer it until he hears Shikai slap Kotonoha. An enraged Shikai demands that Kotonoha leave, but Makoto intervenes. Shikai asks if Kotonoha followed him, to which he says that she didn't do anything. Shikai refuses to believe this and accuses Kotonoha of seducing him before demanding that she leave. Kotonoha in turn calmly accuses Shikai of seducing Makoto. Shikai protests that her feelings for Makoto are mutual, but Kotonoha counters this by telling her that Setsuna also loves Makoto. Despite everything she has had to endure, Kotonoha forgives Shikai and Makoto. She then starts making out with him in front of Shikai, ignoring her pleas for them to stop, which causes Shikai to break down and scream. Once again, a distraught Shikai heads home. She recalls a conversation with Setsuna during the first semester about Makoto until a mysterious red-masked figure appears in front of her, accusing her of hypocrisy. The figure blames Shikai for everything, telling her that she used Kotonoha as an excuse to get close to Makoto while being fully aware of Setsuna's feelings. Shikai denies this, exclaiming that she never intended for this to happen, but the masked figure questions her as to why she introduced Makoto to Kotonoha and tells her if she didn't do this in the first place, things would be different. The masked figure then removes her mask, revealing Setsuna. Shikai breaks down even more, exclaiming that Makoto loves her. Later, Shikai is lying on her bed when she receives a text from Makoto. She is initially joyful until she sees that it's telling her to abort the baby. At school, Makoto is relieved at Shikai's absence before receiving a text from her, who wants to meet with him at his apartment after school. Makoto then has lunch with Kotonoha, telling her that she is the only girl for him. After school, Shikai visits Makoto. He asks her about her meeting with the doctor, which she refuses to answer. Makoto offers to make some tea for them, to which Shikai insists that she does instead. Makoto receives a text on his phone while Sakai grabs a knife. The text consists of Sakai apologizing and goodbye at the end. Sakai then stabs him in a fit of rage until Makoto dies, calling out her name. Sakai realizes that she's murdered Makoto and runs away. Kotonova enters the apartment and finds Makoto's body. Sakai then receives a message to meet Makoto on the school's rooftop, only to meet Kotonova, who used Makoto's cell phone to lure her. Kotonova asks Sakai if she visited the hospital, to which Sakai tells her that she refused. Kotonova claims that if Sakai was pregnant, she would prove it. Kotonova then tells Sakai that she can't have Makoto's child as she, Kotonova, is his girlfriend. Sakai then rants to her about wanting to be Makoto's girlfriend as well and why she endured everything only for things to end up the way they did. Kotonova tells her to ask him for herself, and Sakai opens Kotonova's duffel bag only to vomit after viewing its contents. Kotonova unwraps her handsaw and charges at Sakai. She pulls out the knife that she used to kill Makoto, but Kotonova disarms her before slicing Sakai's throat. Kotonova then cuts Sakai's belly open and concludes that the latter was lying about being pregnant. She is later seen on a boat cradling Makoto's severed head and whispers that they're finally alone together. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like this video, share, and subscribe to the channel for more.